Today we finished putting up our lid. Um, we had about 2/3 to do, so we finished that up. We have about half this wall done, and we were able to pressure test our PEX lines and paint our roof with primer. I wish I would have known where our leaks were before, so maybe in some downtime in prior days we could have fixed it. Because it really, it just, when you're in a groove and you have to completely switch gears, it definitely slows you down.
We made a few mistakes on our cuts and drywall. It happens. Just always double check your measurements is a good way to prevent that. And so it helps you not waste time. So, did we make any other mistakes?
I don't think so. I mean, we had a leak in our water line, but I think it was just a crimp. We had to crimp a little bit more, but other than that, no major mistakes. Just a few missed cuts in drywall, but we're able to patch that, so it didn't really set us back too far.
Same thing as yesterday with drywall. Work together. You shouldn't both be screwing at the same time unless you're all done hanging drywall. Just get it tacked down so that it can hold. One person finishes screwing, the other person works on the next cut. That makes it go a lot faster. Yeah, and if you have moments where your workflow is getting disrupted, like today we had a leak that had to get fixed. I ended up switching gears, moving to the roof, so we were still getting something done. There was some waiting time in there, so just try to think of things you can do if you're in a situation like that.
Another thing is, after you have your ceiling up and drywalled, go along and wherever your screws land, mark your glue lambs where all the studs are, so you can go ahead and know where you need to start screwing when you start hanging your walls. We have it up here. We marked where our studs were in pencil, so we knew where
on the ceiling
where to screw. On the ceiling we marked them. Today we're gonna need our impact with our drywall bit. You're gonna need an oscillator to cut your drywall for those long pieces that you can't use your knife. We're gonna need a pry bar for this bottom row so we can lift it up flush with our top row. We're gonna need our drywall rasp to make the cut end smooth. We're gonna need our utility knife to score through our paper, our chalk reel to snap lines from end to end if it's not straight, and our tape measure, of course, to mark where to snap our lines. And then for those straight cuts, we're going to use our drywall square so we can run our blade right across the edge.
Good morning. We are picking up where we left off yesterday on our drywall. As you can see, we started in this corner, went all the way down the hallway, and in order to minimize waste, we are starting right here with as big of a sheet as we can, making it to this joist over here, excuse me. Yeah, and then we'll just keep going.
No, so when you cut, you take your measurement, you'll put your drywall square right next to it, just like you would any square, and you hold your foot to the side on the bottom, so when you're running your knife, your foot doesn't interfere with your knife, and it's just a real light score all the way down. All you need to do is just break through that paper, and it's just a quick little snap. And then you come to the back side, fold it a little bit, and then you just have to cut through the paper on the back.
Look at how that snapped up.
Then you can take your drywall rasp and just smooth out the rough edge. Not too much though, because too much and you'll shave some length off of your board. Yep, now we're ready. Better? Alright. You think we got it?
I used some latex caulk to make a print on here. It's kind of so just I have the location of this box, and I just pulled this down once I got a mark on here. I just pulled this down and traced it, so I know exactly the right size to make my hole. And I'm just putting this back up.
Today we're going to review proper tips. Well, we're about halfway done with our ceiling, and now we're in our bathroom and shower. So we're going to run a piece horizontally from this nailer all the way to this ceiling joist. We're going to cut that back a little bit because it's not exactly 4 feet because we had to move that joist. So we have our piece cut out, and we have our box drawn to cut our vent out. What we were doing before is just taking some caulking and putting some in all 4 corners, but that didn't work out too good because when you go and you tap your board up, it'd shake a little bit, so it wasn't too accurate. So we're just pulling measurements for this one because our drywall is really supposed to sit on the inside of this tongue, but because we have blocking on 3 of the 4 sides, we're not able to slip those out and put them back in. So that's why that has to be as close as possible. So I'm gonna go out right now and start cutting our square we have drawn.
So show me the square.
We're gonna cut from this line. That's a mess up, but we're going from here to here, and that should be pretty close to that accurate measurement of our box. It went pretty smooth. You just have to, when you have real thin pieces like this, you have to make sure you cut all the way through the paper so you don't crack your sheetrock inside of this piece. Like, you can see it started cracking a little bit, but you don't want it to crack all the way through to where you can't use it.
Should I shave that corner over there?
Right now I just threw in some 1/2 inch OSB. This is just going to act as padding to bring out our 2x4s that we had. We need this to be flush so when we screw our drywall in, it's just seamless all the way across our door threshold. They're going pretty good. Something you might run into is the camber of your wood affecting your ceiling. So when you go and you put your top sheet of drywall up, that might not be perfectly flush, but that's okay because if there's any gaps, you can fill it with hot mud and we'll still tape over it and you won't be able to see it. Yeah, keep all of your scraps because unlike the last build, there's a ton of places where we're going to need small, tiny strips and small cuts. So keep all your scraps. Most of those are going to be able to be repurposed somewhere else. It went pretty good. We had our measurements right, but we just put it on the wrong side. So we actually had to patch this up here. It's okay if you make a mistake as long as you keep that piece that fell out. You're able to throw, I don't know if you can see, but you can tell where our screws are. So what I did is I took this piece, I laid it flat, and I drilled it onto a 2x4. And then while it was off of the wall, I was able to put a 2x4 on the back, and now it's solid and it's connected. So it'll just be a little bit more tape and mud, but it's better than carrying a new piece and redoing all of your measurements. Yeah, so our hot water line passed our pressure test, but we had a big leak in our cold water, which was behind this wall right here. So it was in there. We couldn't see it, so we ran water to find it. We cut our line and pulled it out, and this was the problem. We don't really know what happened, but somehow it got cut. So we're going to have to replace this line with just a coupling. Nothing too hard, but something that could have been avoided.
You guys have to rip the wall out?
No, not the wall. We'll just snake it back through and bend it. Hopefully it shouldn't take too long.
So right now I am putting primer on the roof, which is a step we did not do before, and we're doing this because we're using a different type of roofing paper. This stuff goes on thin. It's not like the coating that we used for the roof before. It's thin. You do not need to use a lot, just enough to make sure that it soaks in. And it's like a thin, even coat.
Oh, I just got done replacing this cold water PEX line. We had a tear in it that was causing a leak. So Dan's coming to run another pressure test, and hopefully we passed. It was a pretty simple fix. All I needed was to run a coupling right here and attach it to our water inlet. It was just one piece, real simple. Now we should be good to insulate this wall. I just replaced that, dude. Right here. What's going on is the line I just replaced still has some air leaking out of it. I don't know why. It looks like this is cracked. Did that work?
So it airs it up, and then you fill it up with water here.
I think that worked. You just needed another clip. Here, watch out, Edgar.
And hold this when you do it so you don't.
Slowly. No, we're leaking somewhere. Somewhere.
What makes you think it's down there? You see some bubbles?
You can hear it. Listen. Watch. It's down there. You can hear it.
Where?
Under the floor.
Under the floor? We're doing a air pressure test on all their water lines. Their hot lines are fine. They have a leak in their cold side, and he's now checking to see if it's the plug they put in on the underneath side of the building. So we put it 90 psi of air pressure in it, and it's got to hold it for 10 minutes. And right now he's not holding. It's going down as quick as I can put it in. So he's got a pretty good leak on the bottom side. I have a feeling that the crimp on the plug at the bottom of the line is leaking. So we'll get it. But we can't cover things up until he figures out what's going on. You might have to pull this line up out.
Which one? This one?
Yeah, it'd be the cold side, so that's the only one it could be. The other line loops from, that blue line loops from there to this side. And he is still, have you crimped it? Is it leaking?
I think so, but there's no bubbles.
You're going to have to find it. I can't cover things up until we find the leak. So let's take it up to 100. Right there's 100 psi. You can hear it where? I'll be back, guys. I have to go test another house.
Well, we know we have another leak. It's nowhere up here, so we think it's down, hidden by the glue lamp. We sprayed some soap water on there, saw a little bit of bubbles. So I went down there, I re-crimped our ring, and hopefully that took care of it, because sometimes these rings need 2 crimps. just to secure it all the way. So we're going to come back, run another pressure test, and hopefully we get cleared to insulate.
So this is our PEX gauge. It's the go or no-go tool. And every time that we put one of these crimp rings on here, depending on what size plumbing that we have, PEX on here, there's a go side, and you can see it. It says it right here. Okay, so go right here. After I crimp it, I'm going to make sure that this goes over it nice and smooth and that it fits, okay? And that means that I did a good job on my crimp. I have the no-go side, okay? It doesn't slide over it, okay? And that's good. We don't want that to slide over it. So then we come down here and we check our 3/4. And this should be a quick check that every student should be doing. This is the go side, and you can tell that it's nice and fluid all the way around and it slides right over it. Okay, you have the no-go side on the 3/4, and it catches here, so we know that we're good there as well. And you just check every single one of those. That way you don't run into these problems here. Most of the time, when you have a leak, it is here at our crimp bands, and it'll be because we were at a slight angle or we couldn't get a full crimp on it. We thought it was good, but it wasn't. Most of the time, that's what it is when it comes with PEX. Every now and again, like what they had a cut in their line that they didn't notice. So those are the irregularities. There's the abnormal situations. The normal situation is we didn't use this tool 100%. We didn't check every single one of the rings, and this is what should be done prior to anybody coming over and testing your plumbing. So this is a great tool. It takes you an extra couple of seconds to do on each crimp ring, but it is something that is going to save you a ton of time, because once you have it all together like this, it's a lot harder to work with. So if we catch it early and then we switch it out, then it's much easier to do.
Well, right now we're waiting for our pressure test to see if our plumbing passed. So while we were waiting and while we're fixing it, Jasper was up on the roof and he painted the roof while I was fixing the PEX. And while we're waiting for our next pressure test, we're staying busy and finishing some of our drywall. Our goal is to get this whole wall done before we leave today, but it's really important just to keep moving and stay busy, because the faster you get done, the faster your build will go and the easier the next day becomes. Oh. All right. It went all right today. Went a little bit slower than expected because our pressure test. But today we finished putting our lid up, and we have about half of this wall done. While we were waiting for our pressure test, we were able to paint our roof with primer. So one more coat of roof paint and that'll be done. But tomorrow we should be finished with all our drywall and start taping.
Well, they've got the first coat on, and we can see that it's not thick enough, so they'll be back in to do a second and maybe a third coat. I'm also noticing that the seams on our paper also need to be mastic down, and probably do a mesh over the top of those. Otherwise, the first coat's on, and it could take 2 to 3 coats. We'll wait and see in this weather how well it sets up. But otherwise, they did a good job. Today, I'm just looking to make sure that they have all their nails in, or their screws in, rather, that it's screwed off to the right pattern. They've got the main room. They've got the inside of the closet done. They've got the bathroom done. And they've also started on the exterior walls. They've got it up to the door on the door side. And they screw it off as they go. They're doing a real good job making sure everything's screwed down. But right now it looks really good. The other thing that they worked on today was we did our air test on our water lines, and they had a small leak in one line. Looks like it got nicked by a saw blade or something, but they fixed that. And we'll do another test in the morning on that. And then we're going to be doing a water test on all of our ABS, and we'll fill those stack pipes up to the top, and then this balloon goes in the pipe, seals the pipe, and we hook our hose up here, put the water in, and then when it's done we open our valve and drain out the water from the pipe, so that we can put They want 10 foot of head pressure on the pipes, so our pipes run up about 2 feet above the roof line so that we can get that 10 foot of head pressure on it. So that'll be done tomorrow.
Overall assessment today, Dan?
Overall, they did good. They had a little problem finding their leak. It was inside the wall, but we can't cover up that plumbing wall until we check to make sure everything's not leaking. So they did well. They said they got it fixed, and tomorrow I'll do a water test and an air test. Otherwise, good job.